Please take your seats.
Hari Om, Namaste to all of you. All protocols observed. A very special warm welcome to all of you. And I do hope that when you leave here today, you will be more enlightened about this very serious topic which we have taken up. I remember a nice story of I don't know if I told you this story last year or the year before, but if I have, I'm praying that you forgot. In Port of Spain, a fellow parked his 4x4 pickup on the side of the street and went to some office upstairs. And when he came back, on the side of the pickup, it was written there 4x4. A vagrant had taken a bottle cap and he scratched next to the 4x4, equal 16. This fellow came back. Of course, he was very much annoyed, but there was nobody around. Vagrant is already gone. So he went to the paint shop and he told the painter, please paint over this thing. And you put an inconspicuous 4x4, small little one, you know. So it will not be so attractive to the vagrants. So I painted it. And again, some weeks passed and he had to go back to that same place. And he parked there again. And when he came back, again he saw little equal 4x4, 16. Just the same size as the 4x4. So he got really angry now. He went back to the paint shop. He said, man, you paint this thing normal size, and you put equal 16. Painted it and everything. And as he was used to going to that place, again parked there. And this time when he came back, he saw a nice big, correct. That is a deeply embedded sanskar in that vagrant that nobody could erase. When something is deeply embedded like that, nobody could erase that thing. Very difficult. Our topic this year is sanskar, the art of man-making, and a very important word related to that, or two words, a word which Raviji coined, Sanskarization, or the process of Sanskarizing people, the world, the nation. And the word also affiliated with this word is a very, very important word in Sanskrit, Samskriti. Samskriti is a Sanskrit word for culture. So these words I'm going to be dealing with today. Sanskar, the art of man-making. First, I'll deal with definitions. The first definition we have of the word, the etymological meaning of the word sanskar. It is samskaroti iti samskar. Any act, physical, mental, or intellectual, which purifies, which ennobles, which cultures, which refines the jiva. The word jiva in Sanskrit is used to refer to the one who is dwelling inside his body. The one who moves from body to body, he's called a jiva. The English word soul doesn't really capture the exact meaning of the word jiva. So I'll be using those words interchangeably sometimes, but the actual word is the word jiva, the one who lives in this body, who dwells here, and who transmigrates from body to body. So any act, physical, mental, or intellectual, which purifies, ennobles, cultures, or refines that jiva, that is called as sanskar. Samyak karoti, to make that jiva well, to make him perfect. Samyak karoti, to make him an exemplary being. And that process is called the process of Sanskarization. The second meaning of the word samskar is an impression or a psychological imprint left on the personality from engaging in any good thought, word, or deed. An impression which guides future action or the behavioral proclivity of the individual in the right direction. And please pay attention to that, in the right direction. The word sanskar is used for positive impressions. The third meaning of the word sanskar, which we are all used to, is that it refers to the 16 rites of passage or sacraments that are performed during the lifetime of a Hindu, starting with the Garba Govardhana, or the sanskar, or the rite or ritual which is done in the preconception stage of a child, and ending with the anteshti sanskar, or the sanskar or ritual which is done at the end of a person's life, done by the relatives, those who are left behind. Now let me expand a little bit on these meanings of the word sanskar. The first one, samskaroti or samyak karoti, the purification of the jiva. The art of man-making essentially entails the realization that, as Tulsidas says, the jiva is nothing but Siva, Ishvara, essentially God. Ishvara amsa jiva avinashi, chetana amal sahaja sukarashi. The nature of the jiva inside his body and the nature of God is one and same. Just like a spark of light, a spark of the fire, and the fire is one and same. They have the same properties. The jiva is unaware of his divine nature, and that is due to ignorance. Ignorance, therefore, is the ultimate impurity in the mind of the jiva. This ultimate impurity has myriads of offsprings, like minus, I-ness, all this is minus, greed, lust, anger, false pride, and selfishness, etc. The jiva's journey to discovering its essential divine nature requires the constant eradication of these durgunas, or negative traits in the personality. Any act which one engages in, or any effort that one puts forward to eradicate these durgunas, is considered as samskar. When I bow down to my teachers, my elders, to the guru, or to my parents, this act removes false pride from my heart. When one values the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita and studies it diligently, it is sanskar. It removes ignorance. It is a purification of the jiva. When one chants the name of Ram, it purifies speech. It keeps the faculty called as vak in check, and so it removes the tendency to speak ill or to curse. What is noteworthy about the universe is that actions by themselves, without knowledge of the science behind them, have an independent power to bring result. I need not know how and why chanting the name of God or bowing to elders work. But they do purify, they do work. I do not have to know how fasting works. I just have to fast. The benefit will accrue. The second definition of the word samskar was positive impressions or psychological imprint. Now let me deal with that. Life for man is a series of actions, thoughts, and experiences. Constant repetition of any type of action or thought leaves a deep imprint on the mind. Repeated thoughts and consequent actions in all their various shades leave collective impressions on the mind and thereby form our personality. If the action is good and leaves, if the action is good, a good one, and leaves an imprint which leads to further evolution and refinement of that individual, the imprint is called a sanskar. These imprints are assimilated by the mind and transmitted on a wider scale to the next generation through our culture, ethics, family structures, and so on. They are an absolute essential in the shaping of the spirit of the nation. Lines of thinking based on essential values such as integrity, honesty, and compassion, and right action bespeak the sanskar of a nation. Samskara is an absolute necessity in social engineering, absolutely indispensable in remodeling the blueprint of the social psyche in a direction that will make our burgeoning nation strong enough to stand the test of merciless time. Samskars are always value-based. Samyak karoti, the word samyak in Sanskrit means good, and that is included in the word samskar. When we use the word samskar, it cannot be a negative impression. For that, we have another word. If the impression left on the mind is a negative one, which guides future action in the wrong direction, it is not called a sanskar, it's called a vasana. Samskar leads to the evolution of man, and vasana leads to the devolution of man. It seems human society is on the path of devolution through sowing vasanas. We have to turn the human ideal in the direction of evolution through Sanskarization, a consciously infused culture of thought and actions whose volitional fructification brings benefit to both the individual and to society. Atmano mokshartham jagadhitaya cha. In the process of Sanskarization, we have to think about the development of the individual, not at the cost of society, but also to the benefit of society. Mind you, the sanskar we speak about is not something only for the Hindu community. The benefit of the entire nation is sought in the Sanskarization process. Goodness and integrity are not only to be imparted to Hindus. It is good for all and good for the nation as a whole. In our mad rush, you would know, in our mad rush for development and self-actualization as a nation, we have lost the great opportunity to cull from the valuable concepts and systems of human development which the Hindu community has prized for many a millennia. The thoroughness of colonialism had sought to invalidate and destroy many valuable and potent social systems which have the valuable mechanisms for development of the human personality. Hinduism, through this idea of samskar, has a most valuable tool to effect positive change, the positive change which we are so loudly crying out for as a nation. We cannot mention the topic of sanskar without mentioning the 16 sanskar also. In Hinduism, we speak of 16 sanskaras, but please do not be fooled by the number. The entire journey of life is meant to be nothing but a journey of purification and refinement of the personality. It is something like this. The Ganga, holy Ganga, starts from Gomukh and flows all the way down to the Bay of Bengal. People take baths in Gomukh, Haridwar, Rishikesh, Prayag, Varanasi, and Bay of Bengal. These are definite stops along the Ganga. It does not mean that between Haridwar and Prayag, the Ganga is not holy. The Ganga is very much holy. It's the same Ganga. So also, life's journey is dotted with 16 stops, 16 transition points in human development, which clearly demarcate rites specifically designed to purify, culture, and ennoble ennoble the Jiva on his relentless journey. This does not in any way mean that the physical, mental, and intellectual acts of the rest of life are not meant to do the same. In fact, because of the incessant changing nature of the world, and because of Yuga Dharma, Dharma which is specific to a certain age, the 16 sanskar may at many times be overshadowed by more potent efforts of man-making as directed by the needs of the time. In the Bhagavatam and Tulsi Ramayana, for instance, it is said that in the Kali Yuga, there is no greater purifier than the name of Hari. Harer Nama, Harer Nama eva kevalam, kalau nastyeva gatiranyata. Chanting the name of Hari is not one of the 16 sanskar, but it remains the greatest purifier in our age, the Shastras say. No discussion, of course, will be complete if I do not mention to you these 16 sanskaras. The first is called as Garba Govardhana, a rite performed by the parents-to-be prior to conception. This rite is marked by discipline, by fasting, prayer, worship, mantra chanting, ceremonial bath, and keeping a cheerful mind, all to be done before insemination. In other words, the parents-to-be are preparing the right environment for a jiva to come into that body. The next sanskar is called as Pumsavana. Pumsavana is done for the protection of the fetus. Another sanskar, another rite or ritual. Then Simantonayana is in the 7th month of pregnancy, done to cheer up the mother. And that cheering up of the mother is a sanskar which goes from the mother to the baby. When the child is born, there is Jata Karma. Then, soon after, there is Namakaran, naming of the child. Number 6, Nishkramana, taking the child outdoors for the first time. Then, Anna Prashana. Anna Prashana means feeding solid food to the child for the first time. And Mundan, the shaving of the head. Karana Veda, the piercing of the head. I think now everybody has taken that. And excessively practiced that already, whole air like that. And they have extended it to other parts of the body and all, They put pins in the eyebrows and all. When I first saw it, I thought maybe eyebrows fall out, Karana Veda. Upanayana, the sacred thread ceremony, introduces the male child, today, all children. In the old days, it used to be at some point in history, to receive education, initiation into education. Vedarambha means initiation into the study of Vedas. Then, Samavartana. Vedarambha takes place when he goes to the Guru's house to live there. And when he's 25, there is Samavartana, a graduation ceremony where he's sent back home. Then, after going home at the age of 25, he immediately gets married, Vivaha, Sanskar. That is number 13. Number 14 is Vanaprastha, at the age of 50. At the age of 50, he starts slowly renouncing all family engagements and he prepares himself for a life of retirement. Vanaprastha, sannyasa, renunciation of all things. And the last, Anteshti Sanskara, which is done by the family, those who are left behind. One will notice that the fundamental sanskaras during a lifetime, the most fundamental ones, are embedded and fostered prenatally or in early infancy. That is when the sanskaras have the most impact. Rituals form a small part of the process of establishing correct thinking and value systems in childhood. Rituals form a part of it, but it is the mechanisms we employ as a society to impress upon that mind those tools that will be required for his own journey and for the evolution of society. if I merely do the 16 rituals, but take no care to foster, engender, and to grow healthy and pious thoughts the rest of the time, then the benefit will be very less. The Sanskarization process is stymied to that extent. Both the rituals and the engendering of healthy and pious thoughts in general contribute to the Sanskarization of the individual and by extension the society. It is an ongoing process. Now, sanskar and man-making and nation-building. Let us study the Govardhana Sanskar for a moment. It is the science of begetting good offsprings. It is a ritual which is designed to lend to the mind of the parents to be a great amount of equanimity, purity, and purposefulness before engaging in the act of procreation. This act is going to affect not only themselves, but the society as well. It is the society which will have to carry the burden or the boon of the offspring which they are going to bear. It is therefore important that the parents take care to bring a boon to society and not a burden to society. Just think about being a guest in somebody's house. If you reach there in that house and the guest room is untidy and dirty, what impression it will leave on your mind? If on the other hand, it is clean, spick and span, then the impression on one's mind is different. So, in this very same way, the Govardhana Sanskar is meant to prepare the environment where that jiva will come from wherever in the universe. It is a preparation of the physical and psychological environment of the parent to be. Body and mind are purified by the rite. When the jiva enters the womb, the psychological environment immediately starts affecting his mind with positive impressions. The process of samskarization is therefore prenatal. The actions and mental predispositions of the parent will start affecting the mind of the child immediately. There's one additional point here, which is there in the scriptures. And Bhagwan says in Bhagavad Gita that if the home, geha, is pious and pure, shuchi, then it attracts a pious and pure jiva from this infinite universe. Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Abhijayate in the 6th chapter. A jiva who himself is engaged in the study and practice of shastras and scriptures will come into that home where these things are practiced. In other words, the building of society starts with thinking about attracting jivas who themselves are pure and pious, who will move society in a right direction. Not only the impressions made on the jiva after he has entered that womb, but attracting the right jiva also who is ready for that sanskarization. If I want offsprings that are refined and cultured, I have to make myself refined and cultured. I have to first sanskarize myself. The English saying is, the chip doesn't fall too far from the block. These sanskars are then transmitted from generation to generation through rituals coupled with an ongoing culture of thought and traditional practices. They are means of shaping the mind into robustness and resilience across a lifetime. Such a cultivated and refined mind is then capable of meeting the vicissitudes of life with great equipoise and equanimity. This is the genesis of true culture. The word for culture in Sanskrit is Samskriti. Not coincidentally, it has the same etymological meaning as samskara. Culture is also meant to purify and ennoble the soul. The collective psychological imprint of the mind shapes the culture of a people living in any particular geographical area. The impressions we transmit to the next generation through our culture, ethics, and family structures are an absolute essential in the shaping of the spirit of the nation. Unfortunately, these have seen great and ongoing decay in our nation. Many homes are broken, children are neglected, and most fundamentally, minds are left uncultivated, left to the mercy of the wind, as it were. Just here in our school, I heard a little boy about 7 years old singing dub, Rastafari dub. And he doing all the action and thing too. Rastafari dub. And the poor little fella didn't know that he cussing like hell going down the road. Because the dub full of cuss, Jamaican cuss. Just by listening to the boy, you could tell the sanskars in the home, isn't it? You could immediately tell what is going on when he's being driven home in the car, when he's being driven out, what is going on. And the teacher in the school was trying to show through an experiment the ill effects of alcohol. She collected the whole class, and she had 2 glasses on the table, one filled with water and one filled with alcohol. And she take a worm with some tweezers and she threw it in the water. And the worm went on swimming in that water. And children were looking on. Then she took it out again from the water and threw it in the alcohol. Immediately died. So she asked the children, now what do you all gather from this experiment? Quickly one fella put up his hand. If you don't want worm in your stomach, drink alcohol. See the sanskar? Sanskar. Sanskar and the home. On the eve of independence, 1962, Dr. Eric Williams, in his address to the nation and to the children of the nation, said to our children, "You carry the future of Trinidad and Tobago in your school bags," end quote. Well, UNESCO, if you see our statistics, UNESCO has reported that Trinidad and Tobago has 99% literacy. But what has happened to integrity? What has happened to patriotism and selflessness and diligence, hard work? I say that the future of Trinidad and Tobago lies in the home, not in school bags. It is proven. The home is the very womb, the crucible of sanskar. Samskara is the true measure of any nation's evolution, not this modern form of education, what we call as education. In the old days, education of the child used to take place, all his education used to take place in a home. It was called the Gurukula. The hands of the state and the hands of government are not delicate enough to entrust sanskar to future generations. It has to be done in the home, and therefore, the state and governments should at all costs protect and empower the home in order that they may carry out this very sacred duty. In the home also, women play the most critical role and has strategic value in the delivery of this entire program of Sanskarization. And therefore, any mature and smart society has to demonstrate cognizance of this fact by putting in place sensible processes and policy which accommodate women in the scheme of our civic, corporate, social, and domestic laws. Such laws as will best empower women in fulfilling this very sacred duty entrusted to them by nature and by our scriptural tradition also. Gandhiji writes of an incident which occurred while he was a student. A school supervisor was visiting, and an examination was going on. And the teacher was eager to make a good impression on that school supervisor. And there was a particular question in that exam which Gandhiji did not know the answer for. And the teacher, while walking up and down the class, realized that Gandhiji did not know the answer for that question. He went back, scribbled the answer on a piece of paper, walked down the aisle, and pushed it under his answer paper so that he'll write the correct answer and it will impress the supervisor. Gandhiji pulled out the piece of paper, read the answer, put it back, and never wrote it on his paper. What a sanskar! He attributed this sanskar straight to his mother. His mother held on to truth and never left it. Integrity, honesty. Sanskars are prescribed from the prenatal stage all the way to after dropping the body. It shows that the human psyche is impressionable at any age. It is, of course, more impressionable at a younger age, and therefore the home plays the most critical role in the Sanskarization process. Friends, this places the home in a pivotal role beyond school, beyond parliament, beyond the judiciary, and or any other institution of the state. If the home is not put right, none of those institutions would turn out right. If today, every institution of society is crumbling under the weight of corruption and brazen crookedness, it is because the home, the very crucible of nation building, was and is neglected. The nation is made in the home. Sanskar is the delicate tool for doing it, and we are the guardians of that destiny. The Upanishads scream out, arise, awake, stop not till this goal is reached. Hari Om.